This is the Next Tape Podcast, episode 209 with Mikel
and Tanyka.
real conversations on different topics. So, this is our sixth episode of our Pride Month special. And if you guys want to listen to the fifth one, it is all available on the platform right now, uh, listed. Tanika, do you want to recap on all five of the episodes so that people can know?
Sure. So the first episode we did was the celebrity activists and the AIDS epidemic, as
Mm-hmm.
well as celebrities living with the HIV.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we did the gay rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
Second one. Third one was the real story behind the movie Philadelphia. Fourth one was the upstairs lounge arson. The fifth one was Fire Island. And now the sixth one. Now, don't get confused. Last year we did pride parades. This time we're digging deeper on the first ever gay pride parade, which obviously happened the year prior to the Stonewall riots, which we did talk about that last year as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's
Mm-hmm.
jump into it.
Okay.
All right. So, as we know, we are in Pride Month,
Mm-hmm.
which celebrates the Stonewall Uprising or riots, which began on June 28th of 1969. Again, you want more details? Head on over to the episode we did last year.
Right.
Though the first Gay Pride Liberation March took place in Manhattan in 1970 to commemorate the one-year anniversary of Stonewall, it took 30 years for Pride Month to become official. In a 1999 proclamation from former President Bill Clinton, again, we also did an episode on him too. There you go. Yeah. Since then, two other presidents, Barack Obama, our president, and Joe Biden, well, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
have issued further declarations, but the battle for LGBTQ plus rights is far from over because of what is currently going on right now. As Americans and obviously everywhere else observe the Pride Month with celebrations, reflection, and activism, um, this article had asked AU's K. Tyler Christensen, who is a professional lecturer in the literature and the critical race, gender, and culture studies departments, to share the original Pride story about a group of people who decided to take a stand against injustice in June 1969 at a small bar, as we know, called Stonewall. So, um, we'll see how much we kind of get into that because I don't want to. Obviously, we have to touch on Stonewall in order to get into the first Pride Parade. So, there might be some stuff that we already talked about, but
Mm-hmm.
again, we'll try to limit it. So, Pride Month started as a riot against police brutality at a small dive bar in New York City called the Stonewall Inn. At the time, there existed outdated masquerade or cross dressing, quote unquote, laws that suggested a man or a woman, again in quotes, must be wearing a certain number of clothing items that match the gender on their state issued ID. Y'all, this was a goddamn law. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that is. I'm ready to fight here because that's
Right.
ridiculous.
Right.
Because again, like
Mhm.
I consider myself a cisgendered woman. I'm straight, and as a woman, I could wear clothing that is not particularly quote unquote my gender. A man who
What is that?
identifies as a cis man who is also straight can have the same situation where like they could be wearing clothing that's not quote unquote their gender. What does that mean?
What it yeah, um, like, what what are they trying to say? 'Cause, like, I'm trying to think that, like, they're saying that, like, men are supposed to be wearing men clothes and women's
Yes.
supposed to be women
But
wearing women's clothes?
it goes so much deeper than that. Yes, they're saying that part, which obviously deals with the cross-dressing aspect, quote unquote,
Uh-huh.
of things, but this also goes deeper where it's like, oh, men are supposed to be quote unquote macho men who want to have sex with
Muscular.
women,
Yeah,
right?
muscular.
How could
Yeah.
you ever want to have sex with another man?
Oh,
And
is it
same thing goes for women. We've dealt with that too, where we talked about it briefly here too, where it's like
Uh-huh.
for women, it's like, well, how could you not want to have a penis? Why wouldn't you not want to have that
Mhm.
inside of you instead of whatever else you're doing? How could you
Mhm.
never want to have sex with a man? Well, let me tell you why. If
Mhm.
I actually had the brain power to be a lesbian, it would probably make my life so much easier, honestly,
Mhm.
because it's just like 9 times out of 10, even straight women don't wanna have sex with you men, sorry to say it. So, it's it's just that thing of, like, as women, we're not respected in our choices either. And then you also have the other aspect of it where it's like men, straight men in particular, also have this weird, very weird fascination
Mhm.
with, as they call it, girl on girl action, you know? So it's weird. There's so many different aspects of it, but at the end of the day, it's all just hate or think as again, as men, especially I feel like police officers, especially in New York police officers, I think they are doing a lot of work to fix that, but I'm mainly talking NYPD. Um, I think they've done a lot of work to revamp the
Mhm.
NYPD,
Mhm.
but back then, up until the 90s, there was so much corruption within the NYPD that it's actually ridiculous. And
Mhm.
a lot of stuff went unchecked in New York City. New York City was what people see New York City as today in terms of the safety, in terms of feeling safe and protected by
Mhm.
NYPD especially, that was not even a thing.
Mhm.
I would say that really did not become a thing until probably 9/11 probably really reshaped things and helped push that differently. But 90s, especially the 80s, my God, you're putting your life in your hands being in New York City because ain't no one gonna help you. It's actually insane, the crime rate and okay, I'm going further here, but that's, like, basically what it comes down to. It's just, like, how could you be gay? Like, and it's trying to strip someone's identity um, from how they look or how they dress, who they, associate themselves with, who they love or just wanna have sex with. Like, it's all about that. Anyways, let me go.
Yeah, 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 I just yeah, I don't know. Uh, I don't know. I
Exactly.
have no answer. Go ahead,
Exactly.
go
That's why
ahead.
I'm like, "Let me get off my soapbox right now."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
'Cause
I just know that, like, a lot of men, who are part of, like, the red pill like
yeah, that's a
to
whole separate situation, but yeah.
yeah, 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 like to just, like, talk about, muscular men are supposed to be wearing men clothes, and, they're not supposed to be feminine, they're not supposed to be wearing skirts. Mind you, there's different types of skirts and different types of cultures, right? You have the Irish as well.
Yeah, but I don't
Um,
think they would
yeah.
consider a kilt
Kilt, sorry, my bad.
the
Kilt
similar
skirt, yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah,
Because a
yeah.
kilt's
But
not a
they
kilt in
still
that sense, it's not a
yeah.
skirt, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They
Yeah.
still make fun of
Yeah, no, I get it.
there's still some people in that
But
crowd.
honestly, when I feel like that's a whole other topic that we could talk
Yeah,
about too,
yeah,
is red
yeah,
pilling.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I think the out of all of the issues that I have with red pilled people, mainly obviously men, um, isn't like there are worse things that we could talk about with red pilling than them having an issue with how men dress or act or whatever. I think that, like, it goes so much obviously, goes so much deeper than that because it's like these men, again, mainly men, who are being red pilled are, let's be very real, insignificant, and they know it, are not worth anyone's goddamn time, and they know it, and that's the goddamn problem, and that is why
Mm,
they get into these situations where they
mhm,
feel like they have to do all of this in
mhm,
order to make themselves important or significant or whatever, or they can explain away why there is nary a woman who wants to have their bodies infiltrated by a man like that.
mm,
So I think like that's a whole separate situation. My problem with red pilling is this the absolute disrespect that these men have towards women and blaming women for all of their goddamn problems, where it's like, no, you're an idiot. And your
mm,
problems are your problems. That has nothing to do with me. Girl, let me tell you, if my boyfriend ever got red pilled,
yeah,
I'm leaving his. I'm leaving his ass. It's not gonna happen because I'm not one to be controlled, first of all. And
mhm,
again, I have no because it's a very fine line. I have no issues with women who want to be in a gender role type of relationship.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's very separate than being red pilled
yeah,
or being with someone who is red pilled. But it's a very fine line. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's I hate
They
these men.
Yeah, yeah, they I don't know, they live a different type of traditional type of life.
It's very different.
They
Yeah, it's very different.
it's different than the traditional
And there's worse
life, I guess.
cases
It's like
than
the worst
others.
version. Yeah, there's the worst
Yeah.
version of tradition
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
in the red pill space. So
Like,
like
I don't know if you ever watched the Manosphere documentary.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I watch
I have not because
yeah.
I want to,
y-
but I when
Yeah.
at a time where this came out, I'm like, "I can't handle this right now. I
Yeah.
can't put that in my mind
Yeah.
right now. I'm
Yeah.
just not here." But I have obviously listened to podcasters who covered the Manosphere doc.
Uh-huh.
So I have some general idea of
Mhm. Mhm.
what happened in the doc,
Mhm.
but when you have, like, a guy I don't remember who it was, but when you have a guy who is, like, boasting about the fact that, "Oh, I'm having sex with all of these women," and, like, recording while a woman is giving him I'll say the typical the clean term, giving him fellatio, and it's just
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry. Where is the "I'm a man" situation and all of that, while some girl is I'm just gonna say what I wanna say right now, is sucking your dick. Like, I don't understand where how that makes you more of a man. I don't get it. Like, why do you have to, like, boast about that? "Oh, so some girl your dick." Okay, cool.
Mhm.
That's you and many, 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 many other men in the world. So I don't understand why you need to show me that because I could care less. And then when you're talking about, I don't know if it's the same guy, but when you're talking about, oh, women who sell their bodies, they're basically like insignificant and they're this or they're that, like talking badly about women who have to support themselves as sex workers, yet he is getting money off of an
Is it
OnlyFans
is it
person.
okay,
Explain to me.
this is I
Oh,
think I seen these guys on YouTube.
mhm.
I'm watching YouTube every single day, so I know who the guys you're talking about.
Yeah,
Are you talking about is one of the guys brown?
there was a I think he was mixed. If
Okay,
I
so
don't know
wrong,
because I
no,
hadn't
so it's
seen
probably
him,
light skin.
but from what I
Uh-huh.
understand, he
Yeah.
was biracial. Yeah, so I think it was
Okay.
him.
Uh,
Like, he's from
okay.
England, I think.
Okay, no, no, different guy. There
Okay.
was there's
It could be him, and maybe I'm wrong where he's
mhm,
from, but,
mhm.
I
Well,
thought he was somewhere in the UK,
yeah.
um, but,
I don't know any
yeah,
of them
and
from the
again, like,
UK.
I don't know if it was him, but there was
Yeah.
another guy, or maybe it was him, who was like, "My mom would kill me if she heard me talking like this." Okay, so then there's that part of it too, it's like, so where did this come from? The whole
So
point of this was,
yeah.
like, to show how dangerous this can become if we're not teaching our sons, especially, and our daughters to a degree,
Mhm.
that this is not okay. This way
Mhm.
of thinking is not okay. And
Mhm. Mhm.
oh god, like this is why
Yeah.
like I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
stand
yeah.
the manosphere.
The I think one of them, is Myron.
That
Um,
name sounds familiar.
he's a brown guy. He's a brown
Okay.
guy that has, like, the he was in the Manosphere,
Mhm.
documentary,
Yeah.
and basically he had the girlfriend
Yeah.
that was in the studio called Fresh and Fit, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was one that had the girlfriend, and I believe there was another one who was married. Um,
Yeah, I know what you're talking
and
about,
I
yeah,
think the one who was married, I think it was the one who was married, but it could have been the girlfriend, I can't remember, but the one that was married, I think his wife was like,
mhm,
"Oh, yeah, he's this, he's that," but, like, really, you could tell the person who wears the pants in that relationship wasn't him, it was her, from what I understood. Like, you had to read between the lines on some of the things that she was saying or how she was saying it or whatever, and it's like, again, you're basically having this persona that's not real, telling me that men should be this and women should be that and this and that and blah blah blah, but yet clearly your wife is the one who has the pants in the relationship, not you, which is how it should be. Maybe I say that because I am a woman who wears the pants in my relationship,
mhm,
not because I'm trying to emasculate my boyfriend or anything like that. That's actually furthest from the truth. It's more about the fact of if I don't have control over certain situations in our relationship, we would
mhm,
go to and
mhm,
I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman making sure that our lives as a couple is in order.
mm,
Like, it's I can't do this. I can't have this conversation. Hate everything that the manosphere stands on. We had a person on 90 Day, for those people who watched 90 Day, well, B90 in particular, we had a person on there who was definitely red pilled, saying things like, "Oh,
mhm,
if I knew my wife was
mhm,
had a had, as he puts it,
right,
an attitude or whatever, or like
mhm,
whatever
mhm,
the if she
yeah,
basically
yeah,
wasn't submissive in the way that he thought she was because she's Filipino, so Filipino women are quote unquote Asian, right? So Asian women are submissive, whereas I said to a friend of mine,
mhm,
Filipino women are the least quote unquote submissive women in all of freaking
yeah,
Asia.
yeah,
Those women are feisty as hell.
mhm,
The fact that this man thought that woman who I loved was this was how this is something he'd never seen before, I find hard to believe. But anyways, watching him and how red pilled he was
mhm,
and disrespecting her, I was like, "Oh god."
yeah,
I got mad. So
yeah,
I can't
yeah,
talk about this right now
yeah,
because it
yeah,
hasn't been
yeah,
long
yeah,
enough.
yeah. A lot of men tend to talk about, like, Filipino women, or going down to Thailand, or
Yeah, and
go down
again,
to
I
Asia
find
to, yeah,
that
yeah,
out of all of them,
mhm,
really and truly, we've seen again for people who've watched any 90 Day iteration, we've seen many of Filipino women or Thai women, mainly Filipino. We've seen a ton of Filipino women.
yeah,
And and I said this to my friend too, and again, this might not mean anything to you, but
mhm,
um,
mhm,
for anyone who like watches the shows, you would know the only people that I can think of, or person that I can think of that was maybe quote unquote submissive, but I wouldn't classify her as submissive, was Faith. If we know Faith, Faith was the one who was with gonorrhea Lauren. Don't ask me questions. But the reason that classified her as quote unquote submissive was because she didn't have confidence. If you knew anything about Faith, she was a transgender woman, and she was, dealing with the fact that she didn't feel accepted by people who didn't accept that. um part of her that the part of her, and she struggled with that. And then she was with gonorrhea Lauren, again, don't ask me questions, who disrespected her. He was cheating on her, and hence the gonorrhea. Don't ask questions. And so, yeah, it's like that poor girl was definitely quote unquote submissive because had she has self-esteem issues. If she had her self-esteem be where it needed to be, that woman would have been unstoppable. Like, no way. Minute she found out that he had gonorrhea, she would have been like, deuces, get the heck out of my hotel. And that's that. But unfortunately, that's not what she said. It's not what she did. So,
Mhm, mhm.
but when we had all these other women, and I can think of a few off the top of my head right now, one that's on the current season who takes no from their men. So I just don't understand people who jump to, oh, Filipino women are submissive. No, they're not. They're not. Now,
Mm,
I did say that I can see maybe Chinese women can be, because of their personalities a little bit more softer and whatever, but again, it's like that may be the only culture that maybe you'll get that. But again, I don't know if I can classify that as submissive. It's just more of that's their demeanor.
yep,
That's personality. That's how they're
yep,
brought up.
mhm.
Um, but that's like the only thing I can think of because
Yeah, I've been around, like, I had Filipino friends, like, or
yeah.
Asian friends as well. They're
And
nice,
I've been
but
around Filipino
they can
people
be
as well.
yeah, they
And
can be when they're mad, they can be really feisty and really, cutthroat at the
they
same time. So,
are.
it's
I mean,
so yeah.
I love Filipino people. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
they're so cutthroat and they just don't take
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we have for those who watch 90 Day, we have a woman on here right now. Now she's a little weird. I think she might have a cleaning fetish because
Oh, yeah,
she
yeah,
likes to, you know what, watch the show because I'm
yeah,
still traumatized. I can't
yeah,
talk about it.
yeah.
But that woman is so cutthroat. She don't waste no time. She goes
Mhm,
in there and she's like, "What do you mean
mhm.
your daughter's not paying rent? Why is she asking you for $10? Why this? Why that? Because the dog's at the house. Because fur, gross." Like she d- can't eat in the bed because they're gonna get food in the bed, and then there's gonna be ants. Like she has completely come in and taken over. Submissive, I think not. Nah. Anyways,
Mhm.
we went left.
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Let's
go ahead.
let's get back to
Let's
this.
finish it, finish it. Yeah.
Um Okay, so the police took advantage of these laws to raid drinking establishments and arrest transgender and gender nonconforming individuals. Just after midnight on June 28th, 1969, the police raided the Stonewall Inn like they had many times before because, yes, they did it many times. Only this time, something unusual happened. Stonewall patrons fought back because they said, "We are done with this." In Martin Doberman's excellent historical account of Stonewall, he cites a chorus of voices, those people that were there that night, like the activist Sylvia Rivera, who I will talk about. I think we need to talk about her. We mentioned her also during the Marsha P. Johnson episode. So we'll talk about her later time, who was bereft over the death of our sweet, sweet Judy Garland. Um, Mikhail, do you know who Judy Garland is?
No, I don't know.
Uh,
Nah,
I apologize for everyone who is listening that he does
yeah,
not know who Judy
yeah,
Garland is, especially
yeah.
during Pride Month. I'm so sorry. Judy Garland is Dorothy in Wizard of Oz. Do you know Wizard of Oz? Oh God, I can't.
Yeah, nah.
Please, you don't know Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, I seen Wizard of Oz, but I
Okay,
just don't remember.
that's
Is she was she the girl? Little girl?
yes,
Oh,
that is
okay.
Judy Garland.
Oh, interesting. Oh.
A lie. Yes, yes. Okay, let's get
Huh.
let's move past that because that hurt my heart. Um So yes, Judy Garland, whose body lay in state on the afternoon of June 27th on the Upper East Side. In fact, there are several accounts of that evening and of the 5 or 6 days that proceeded to make up the Stonewall riots. One account suggests that the tipping point came when police tried to arrest a gender nonconforming, quote unquote, butch, ew, lesbian that some people credit as Stormy Delarvery. Sorry if I said the name wrong. That some people credit as, oh, I said that right, who somehow evaded the police and began to push against a police car in protest, screaming out to their peers, quote, "Why don't you do something? Why are you just standing there?"
Mm,
Listen, it always starts with the lesbians. They do. Anyways, let's continue. Other accounts suggest it was a Black trans woman, which we did talk about this, but I think it's also been debunked that that trans woman was Marsha P. Johnson. That's been debunked. I don't believe it was her. I've always heard the account of it being a lesbian woman,
mm,
um, like a woman, born woman, not not a trans woman. I That's what I've always heard
mm,
myself. I have heard that rumor, but I don't. I think that's been debunked. Marsha P. Johnson was there because we talked about it, but I don't think that was her. So yes, they basically said that she famously threw the first brick at Stonewall, though Johnson has said in interviews that she didn't get to the Stonewall Inn until 2 in the morning after the uprising had already begun. So
mm,
again, we heard that rumor that she threw the first brick.
mm,
I think that's also been debunked. I do not believe that she did. Anyways,
huh,
to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Rise in 2019, the New York Times released a short documentary film called The Stonewall You Know Is a Myth, and That's Okay. That's a long title. The
huh,
film brings
huh,
together historians, queer, trans, and media studies,
right.
scholars, and people that were actually there on the night the riots began. The short film coalesces a collective studied, if not contradictory, set of memories of that night. One of the most important takeaways comes from the writer. Oh, this is a name. Oh, Lord. Chris Santhium. Think I said that. Tran, who says, quote, Stonewall was a messy evening.
Mm,
LGBT histories are very messy. I think naming that doesn't take away from the importance of what happened. Does it really matter who threw the first brick? No, it doesn't. It just
mhm,
matters that the first brick was thrown.
mhm,
The film's producer, Shane O'Neill, says, quote, Stonewall was about people reclaiming their own narratives from those that told them that they were sick or pitiful or didn't even exist. So, and it's sad that that will continue on, you know, past even 1969, as we've talked about with cases like Jeffrey Dahmer, where
mhm,
it's like, "Ooh, gay, let's not get into it." Meanwhile, people are being murdered, but and eaten, and I went off the rail again, so let's continue. Um, so
mm,
what does Pride Month mean? Well, to really anybody, but, in particular, the person who wrote this article, so I'm gonna say it in their words. They say, "I love Pride Month. My very first Pride celebration was in Salt Lake City, Utah in 2004. I was 24 and barely out of the closet. I remember feeling euphoric and overwhelmed by the sense of community, the
mhm,
celebration of a public queer life, and a general sense of camaraderie with others. Celebrating, whether privately with our friends and in our own ways, or out in the streets marching in parades, is an opportunity to remember the work of our queer ancestors to whom we are indebted, and an opportunity to harness the celebratory energy pride creates to get back to the work of the fight that remains before us."
mhm,
And that's the end of the episode there. But yeah, I mean, we definitely again like we went off field a little bit with this particular episode, but I think kind of what started the conversation in the first place, like I've mentioned, was
mhm,
just the the Not even I can't even refer to it as disrespect,
Mhm,
because in
mhm,
order to disrespect someone, you still have to acknowledge their existence.
mhm,
And I think at a time for the community, especially during this time of Stonewall with these ridiculous laws,
right,
it basically created an atmosphere for the community where they felt, or not even just felt, were treated as if they did not exist, and
mhm,
how much really the work that has been done, but really how slow the work has taken to get to where it did finally get to. And now seeing that completely crumble under their for Americans under the current administration. Um, so it's sad because like you had that and where you felt like you just couldn't be yourself and you're in a space that was meant for you because again, let's make this very clear. I talked about the corruption within the NYPD. Um, s- uh, Places like Stonewall Inn were owned by the New York Mafia. Or it doesn't the New York Mafia, but any mafia within New York, whether it's the Russian Mafia, the Italian Mafia, whatever, a mafia. Mafias were usually would have silence bought from the police.
mm,
So do you see where we have an issue here?
yeah,
Right. So that was the issue that I think was definitely going on within that time with these places that were supposed to be safe havens for the community. Although clearly things that will and had improved, but from that, you also still had cases like I mentioned Jeffrey Dahmer. You still had cases like that, which was obviously a different state, but you had a case like that where you had, and I'll always scream this because I will never understand. Um, you had a young 14-year-old boy who had been injected with whatever the he put in his head, who was not himself, who had people trying to advocate for him, and the police believed a white gay man
mhm,
that he's just my boyfriend. We got in a fight. I'm like,
mm,
"Well," and because it's ew, gay stuff, they handed a 14-year-old boy back into the hands of Jeffrey Dahmer, who he would then later kill that night.
mm,
And again, what happened with those police officers, they got a slap on the wrist. They still had a job.
mm,
They were still working up until I think even a decade ago. And I will never understand. And again, if you know the history of Dahmer's victims, you know that that particular 14-year-old boy
mm,
was a brother of another boy who Jeffrey Dahmer assaulted. Didn't kill, but he assaulted him. And it's just I will never understand how like that could happen. Or we talked about Matthew Shepard and the fact of not with just with Matthew Shepard, but with many other people, how you could use the gay panic defense for something in a case like Matthew Shepard, who you pursued him.
mhm,
You went after him and you killed him. Or, yes, they ultimately killed him, but in that night, they left him there to die.
right,
And uh, I'm gonna try not to get emotional because I
mhm,
always do
mhm,
when I talk
mm,
about Matthew Shepard, but
right,
it's like this was a sweet young boy who was left there in the elements to die with tears running down his face. I don't know what he was thinking, but I know what I think and what I've always thought ever since I heard that case, that how can anyone be so cruel?
uh,
And then, you use the gay defense panic or the gay panic defense, and it's
mhm,
just like,
uh-huh,
how does that happen? How does that exist? Especially this again in the '90s. How does that exist? How is that okay? And like I said, like we had movement, we had things changing within, with Bill Clinton's administration and
Uh-huh,
then
uh-huh,
Obama's administration, and obviously Biden was going to keep that going. And look how far it's fallen since
uh-huh,
under the current administration. So it's just, I get very upset. I
uh-huh,
get very angry of people's rights being taken away from them.
uh-huh.
So, so yes, that kind of harkens back to, you know, the question you'd asked earlier about the police and how like that can even happen. It's been
Yeah.
happening and it's still happening. It's
Yeah.
in a
Oh,
different
yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's happening every single day, I would say. So, like,
Yeah.
um, the thing
And don't
about
even
the
get me
not
started on the transgender
yeah,
community right now, what
yeah,
they're
yeah,
going
yeah.
through. So,
I mean, the thing that happened in the '90s, I think we just didn't have a lot of, like, awareness. That's another one
but
too.
you don't have to have awareness to respect people and just
Mhm.
be kind to people. It's not
Yeah, it's
awareness has
just
nothing to do with treating people as humans, whether you understand how a person lives or you don't. That's a separate thing, which I do
I mean,
agree with,
yeah.
but I think it goes beyond that of it's just
I
people
just
are
think
not
it
respected.
I just yeah, I just think it was a different time. People just, like,
Sure,
didn't know how to, respond to, uh, like, the LGBT community, right? So
sure.
they didn't people a lot of people didn't know how to respond, like, in different ways. Yes, there will be people who know how to be, like, kind and nice to each other, but, like, uh, you know, for, like, being like, for being gay and being lesbian, it was basically, uh, like, people were just basically, like, throwing, like, stones, rocks at people just because they're they're part of that community, right? And it should have been in the '90s. Nowadays, you're we're more like we're more aware, we're more welcoming, we're more kind, we're more
Really?
open.
I mean,
Yes, the progress has gotten
here
better since
sure,
the '90s.
but I
Yes.
don't think we're fully there. And yes, maybe Canada is a little bit more welcoming depending on where you are. But when we look at like
Mhm,
the Bruce MacArthur case, where
mhm,
this was a guy who was killing gay men,
mhm, uh-huh,
um,
uh-huh,
I think he identified as gay himself. Um, he was able to continue his killing spree
yeah,
because police weren't doing their job, because it all harkened back
uh-huh,
to this is gay. This is
uh-huh,
gay. This is a gay case. This is involving gay
uh-huh,
men
uh-huh,
or men who were closeted at the very least. So this is where this harkens back to. And it's like, okay. And I think this case started, I think it was in 2012 or maybe even before that. This was at a time where we should have known better and treated things differently. And yet we weren't. Bruce MacArthur wouldn't have been able to go for as long as he did if the police did their job.
mhm,
And there's a lot of corruption and conspiracies around that having to go back to what was because it was a part of the queer community. So yes, I think in certain ways we are. So yeah, I think what I was saying is like, yeah, we've done some work, but you know, in a time where you thought that maybe things were better, they really weren't. And then again, right now, like I've mentioned already with the states, it's going backwards,
uh,
not forward, due to the administration. Like, for example, they are stopping hospitals from doing any form of gender affirming surgeries or treatments or anything for
uh-huh,
minors. And, you know, despite what anyone may think, Because again,
Uh-huh.
my views on that may vary depending, but,
Uh-huh.
um, despite what anyone thinks, at the end of the day, if someone is going they are saying to their parent or whatever that this is not the body that I'm meant to be in, and with the proper channels and
Uh-huh.
work and conversations, at the end of the day, the decision of any medical treatments are based off of what the parents decide.
Uh-huh.
Why does politicians believe that they can get involved in anyone's medical care?
Uh-huh.
Just like with women who decide that they want to get an abortion, I don't
Uh-huh.
care what you
Uh-huh.
think or where your views stand on that. For me,
Uh-huh.
I am pro choice in the sense of if you need to get an abortion for XYZ, no matter
Uh-huh.
what those reasons are, who am I to talk about what you should and shouldn't do? That's not my problem. That's not my business. You're not hurting me. Whatever. So why do people think it is okay or politics to get involved in women's health? Why? Like, and that is something that could have very well become a reality for us Canadians if a certain politician did become in power. We would be in a similar situation.
Uh-huh.
So it's we say yes, we've done the work, but there's always a fear or a risk that things can go backwards when you have corrupt politicians in the White House. So when you have a certain person talking about how much he loves inflation, now that's separate from what we're talking about here, but when you have a certain person saying how much he loves inflation, well, guess what? That doesn't just affect Americans, that also affects us over here in Canada because of his decisions. And administration, the whole administration's decisions. So that's the point of
Uh-huh.
trying. Anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know, like, uh, going back to what you said about the community, how the LGBT community is ruined by, like, ruled by the US and everything.
Mm,
Do you think that's everybody in the US, or is it just like a certain group
what do
of,
you mean?
like, you said something about, like, I can't remember what you just said, but how the states are ruining rights for the LGBTQ. Is that right? Or did
Yes.
you? Okay. Is that for like
That's
everybody,
ev
every?
yes, it's affecting everybody. At the end of the day, um, so okay, how do I put this?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when for example, then this was prior to Trump going back into office,
Yeah.
but when you have right-winged politicians basically
Mhm.
saying that, "Oh, drag queens are predators," are, whatever else they said, but the predator is the biggest one. That's a problem for anyone within the LGBTQ plus community because if anyone knows or remembers, and I definitely remember as a child, we were always told, or it was always said, that gay men in particular always pride upon young children.
Uh.
That was something that I heard as a child. Now, I'll explain a little story and why I say this. When I was 12, I had my birthday party
Huh.
at my aunt's restaurant, which was in Toronto, was at
Yeah.
Wellesley and Yonge, just at the corner there of Wellesley and Yonge Street, which, if anyone knows, is a huge population of the LGBTQ plus community is in that particular area. And
Huh.
there was a gay club or bar or whatever that was across the street from my aunt's restaurant. We'd gone outside afterwards, and my brother at the time would have been not maybe 2. He might have been 2 at the time. He was, little kid in his little jean jacket. He looked real cute. And there was a gay guy that came by and was just saying, "Oh, how cute my brother looked, and he looked adorable, and all of this." Now, my mom didn't say anything in
Mhm,
particular, but I do remember one of my family members on my dad's side, because it was my dad's side that owned the restaurant, and, um, they were like, "Oh, be careful because gay men they love little boys." And that was something that I heard as a 12-year-old, and I was like, "What?" Like, I've never heard that before, and I was
mhm,
always under the impression since then that that was something that was true. Now, obviously, as an adult, I know different, um, but that is something that you heard,
mhm,
and it's far from the truth. You're very rarely gonna have, again, I reference him here, but, he's the only one I could think of at the moment.
mhm, mhm,
But very rarely are you gonna have a Jeffrey Dahmer who did, yes, prey on young boys. He didn't just go after adult men. He did go after children as well,
mhm,
obviously, as we've talked about. And very rarely do you have situations like that. Very rarely do you have the John Wayne Gacy's of the world. Very rarely is something that people have to worry about. So setting the community backwards like that is ridiculous. And again, I don't know who I can blame for that besides just Republicans generally who are completely misinformed. I don't know if I can blame the Trump administration on that because this was something that was started in the Biden administration. So I don't know, but it's ridiculous. You had Florida who literally implemented that saying gay in the state of Florida is illegal. Um, and then there's again, with the trans community, again, that's another thing that's happening where the rights are just being taken away from them because you think you can tell people what they can and cannot do with their own health, with their own
mhm,
body, like,
mhm,
and again, talking about a person who should be in a prison cell because he's a goddamn pedophile. Yeah, I said it. I'm
mhm,
not hiding from the fact that I'm not gonna pretend and sit here and say that Trump is not a goddamn pedophile. He is, and he's the person who's the president, so I'm coming off my
yeah,
soapbox again because I can't do this right now.
okay. Alright,
You
that's
make
fine,
me so
that's
mad.
alright, okay,
Anything else you
yeah,
wanna say about.
yeah, no, this is like, to be fair with you, this is not one of my strong areas to know. I just know
No, I
that,
get it.
just be like, I'm all for, like, being, positive, etcetera, all that stuff.
No,
I'll
it's not
be
even so
like,
much about
"Yeah,
being positive.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't I don't try to be positive,
yeah,
far from it.
I
But,
understand I
I
understand that." Yeah, go
it's
ahead.
more about just the fact of the world is on fire right now, and we wanna or certain people wanna pretend as if it's not. And I read a comment the other day, again, this is very separate from this conversation, but I read a comment, I think it was yesterday or this morning, about, talking about the whole Iran situation, and we're all constantly always hearing from Trump, "Oh, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, this war's gonna be over in 2 weeks," a war that he started that he shouldn't have. And hearing that and obviously the ramifications of that decision on the economy, not just for Americans, but for Canadians, and I don't know how that's affecting any other countries right now, probably
Mhm,
affecting Mexico too, but who knows?
mhm, mhm,
And then the also very real situation in that comment was Iran has a nuclear bomb, as many countries do, that could eviscerate America.
mhm,
Guess what? It's not just gonna eviscerate America. So this
mm,
is why I get so angry and sad because it's just like, none of this should be happening. And to also make this very clear, it
hmm,
hasn't even been 2 years. we still have to deal with this for another 2.5 years. We haven't even reached the 2-year mark yet, and look at the destruction that this administration has caused all around.
Mhm.
So that's why I
Yeah.
get to points where I'm like, I can't talk
Yeah.
about certain topics.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
can talk about how stupid Trump is and how
Mhm.
his comments can make me laugh sometimes because he's so
Mhm.
idiotic.
Mhm.
But when we get to the real nitty-gritty of what he's caused, I have limits, um,
Mhm.
because I just can't.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand 100%. Um, but yeah. Yeah. I have nothing to say about him.
Yeah,
Perhaps in a future episode we'll talk about it, but otherwise than
we'll
that,
see.
yeah, yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. Okay. So if you guys want to check out the last 5 episodes that we did for Pride Month, uh, go check them out. They're available right now on the Next Take podcast. Um, as well as this one will be available on Tanika.
Well, as you're listening to it, it's available right now as you're listening to it.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So we
yeah.
won't say anything
My
about
bad,
that one,
bad. Yeah.
but we do have 3. We have 3 more episodes for Pride Month that
Mhm.
we're gonna be doing.
Mhm.
The next one that we're gonna be so next week, because 'cause we're doing Thursday episode here, so yeah, next
Yeah.
week's episodes are gonna be a little bit more on the rough side because, again, we've had some fun. We had this week of just fun. Next week is gonna be a little more rougher, more true crime. So the first episode for next week is we're gonna be talking about the Pulse nightclub, mass shooting.
Mhm.
So we'll be talking about that. So similar to, again, this is kind of similar to the upstairs lounge where, we're talking about safe havens for the community that gets infiltrated by horrible people
Mhm.
or persons. Who knows? Because we don't know what happened with upstairs lounge, but I believe the Pulse nightclub shooting was solved. So we'll be talking about that.
Okay. All right. That's it.
That's it.
All right. Peace,
Bye,
guys.
everybody. If you liked what you heard with our podcast, you can head on over to our website, which is solo.to/next take podcast. There you can get any of the links to any of our social media, which is Facebook, Instagram at Next Take Podcast, and Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Next Take Pod. You can also find links to our Reddit page and many other things, I'm sure. Can't remember all the top of my head. You can also email us at mikeltanyka@gmail.com. There you can send us any inquiries, if you have any questions, or also any episode ideas. And if you do have episode ideas, just make sure you put in the subject line episode ideas, and we'll add it to our list. If you also liked us, you can like us, rate us, follow us on any of your favorite podcast apps. You can rate us, however, on Spotify and Apple Podcast. We would greatly appreciate that. And we'll also move forward and share or spot a light on those who give us 5-star ratings in the future. That is it for us. We'll see you next time for the episode.